how's that apply to traders and things like that. So I want to do, I basically want to take this first section of the webinar and address a lot of what I've taken in from questions. Many of you guys maybe have asked these questions. I want to just try and help clarify a lot of misconceptions or just good old questions. So what is the cloud? Now this is kind of my definition, but this hopefully resonates with people. It's a modern way of delivering services so that they're on demand and accessed right over the internet instead of from your hard drive. And they go on to say anymore, it's just a metaphor for the internet. And really what cloud is really just accessing platforms or services on the internet instead of having a desktop application or software that's really driving that application. So I'll get more into that, but that's kind of a generic explanation of what the cloud is. And you'll see some examples here. And one of the things, I know I've talked to some, they think the cloud computing, you hear it, you see it everywhere, and they think it's a fad. And I would say it's not. It's really an evolution of consumer needs. They're being met with technologies, emerging technologies. And more importantly, to address how we all live our lives today. I mean, please don't answer this question because I think I know the answer, but how many of you have a phone? How many of you have potentially a tablet? Or how many of you have multiple computers? And I'm sure everybody probably has a computer at work, and everybody has a computer or multiple computers at home. Well, the cloud, and this is really why it came about, is it's a way to utilize all those devices, all those computers, but still utilize the same resources that drive them so that you're not doing some work on one computer, then doing some work on another, and you're like, darn it, why isn't that they're not in sync? I got to email my spreadsheet over. You know, you can see how the cloud's really tied everything together. That's the best way to think of it. It's just tied everything together, and it makes things easier to use and frankly, just more useful. Some of the benefits that get out of that are just freedom to move around, use whatever device or whatever. There's access and then cost, but we'll touch on some of that later. Some examples. So this is for those of you who maybe just, you're not really even sure, you can't think of what a cloud solution is. Here's a few. And honestly, I could go on forever listing these, but these are ones and just, I've tried to categorize them. You know, storage solutions. How many, again, don't answer this, but Dropbox. I mean, I think they have 400 or 500 million customers. Box. You could see all this stuff. Gmail. I mean, everybody's pretty much using Gmail, Yahoo. Not so many Hotmail anymore, but there's obviously a lot of email providers. But it's pretty much all cloud-based. And you don't think of it. You just kind of go to a web browser, you log in. But these are all cloud-based services. And I want everybody to realize that or recognize that because ultimately you're already putting your trust in the cloud. You're already using it probably for, I wouldn't be surprised, 75, 80%, maybe 90% of the software or things you do or use are already cloud-based. So anyway, this just gives you a good look at some, even banking. I mean, banking, call it online banking, but anymore it's almost like a platform because of all the payment solutions and different things that they offer right within that. So anyway, that's a good look at some of the just consumer-based cloud platform solutions that we might use. So how's cloud different from desktop software? What are the differences? So this is a little graphic we put together, and you may have seen this on our blog. We used this, I don't know, last year sometime, and it really is just kind of breaking it down. This top row is what we call the old PC-centric era, and then down here is the cloud era. And you can see, kind of categorize this, the PC is difficult to use and cloud is easy to use. And if you look at these, think of each of these as a silo. Let's just I'll just talk through them quickly. But the old way, quote, old way, is you just trade it at a desk. You got a single, you're kind of locked down at a computer, not a lot of freedom, but it works. But you're strapped down there. You really don't have the freedom to move around, and it's not as easy to just go to another computer, another place, and pick right up where you left off. Whereas in the cloud, you could pretty much, you just log in. There's no other way to say. You just simply log in. Doesn't matter the device or the computer, and you pick up where you left off. Storage, you're limited on your PCs. Cloud, it's unlimited. That doesn't so much apply to most cloud trading solutions, but it will. It will one day, because there's more and more capabilities are rolled out to cloud-based, where you have potentially massive tick databases that can be tapped into, massive all sorts of databases that can be leveraged in a cloud-based solution. That's ultimately where all this is heading. PC, everything's installed. You got to download it, you got to install it, you got to configure it, and that is a hassle in many cases. I know that we have a desktop software product as well, and the questions we have from desktop versus cloud are 10 to 1 at least, maybe 20 to 1. It's just desktop applications require a lot more work, and whereas a software like a SaaS or software as a service solution or cloud solution, it's much more controlled environment, and
you are now muted.
Hey there, can you hear me? Or sorry, Trevor?
You are now unmuted.
Level, but it's important to understand all this stuff, because this is not just affecting the trading industry, but every industry across the globe. So more specifically, how can traders benefit? So I kind of got the where, the when, and then I just have a category here, the extras. The where, trading can happen anywhere, anytime with the cloud. You're again there's this freedom. You're not chained to a desk or at the office. So many users. One of the biggest use cases we've seen for this platform is people. They have a let's call it the real job, where they go to work and then they come home, and they want to be able to kind of either follow the markets at work or check in on them, but maybe they work half a day and they want to really trade from home. But your boss or your company is not going to let you install your PC software on that computer at work, which makes sense. The cloud, you simply just log in on a tab on a browser, and you can at least follow the market, see what's going on. And if you're allowed, you can obviously place trades. So then you just close it down or log out. Even if you don't log out, you just leave, go home, log in, pick right up where you left off. Trades are there, charts are there, exact configuration right where you left off. So everything's always backed up, and that's nice. The when, trading continues to be more 24 hours. I mean, it sounds a little cliche, but it is. It's just more and more 24 hours, and especially, I mean, just think of this past month has been crazy how much overnight action there's been, and it helps. It really is beneficial to be able to track and follow the markets outside the time when you're just kind of chained to that desk. Having the ability to just check in on prices or log in, and I mean, personally, I find I'll be sitting on the couch, I'll log in, and I'll do some trading just right on my laptop, and it's nice. Now, I'm not saying I don't want anyone to become just a trading junkie, although a lot of people it tends to make you that. But my point is, it's nice to be able to just kind of log in, do some research, and then maybe put some trades on or work some orders, and that's that. So I'm not going to touch on every bullet point here, but I want you to catch the big broad themes, like the broad strokes, because that's what's important for really the trading community at large. And then some of the extras that kind of go along with the cloud, it's friendly. It's always backed up. How many times, and again, don't answer this, but it's desktop computers either you have an issue, it crashes, or the hard drive goes out, whatever. With the cloud, these are things that you don't have to even think about, you don't worry about. It's just, there's a peace of mind to it. No setup hassles. Again, you log in. You don't have to configure data feed. You don't have to configure install software. You just log in and the service is always there. Plus the software is always updated. So you just get the latest stuff. We're deploying, we deploy updates usually weekly, sometimes multiple times a week. You never really know that. You're just getting the latest and greatest code, and off you go. And then there's no platform cost. So it's there's scalability with the cloud, which allows us to keep costs down, pass that on to the trader. Here's just another graphic that just kind of shows some of the trader benefits. I'm not going to spend much time on this, but some of these apply more to not just traders, but maybe businesses if you have even other businesses. Because I don't want to just talk so much just about trading. Well, that's what we're all here for. Many of you are probably business owners. I wouldn't be surprised half of you listening are business owners. And it's important that you understand just the importance of what the cloud brings to you as a business owner. So that's why I kind of want you to see this, because a lot of these things translate they translate right outside the trading into your normal business life and even your personal life. So again, you can see this graphic. Some of these may resonate more with some of you than others, but I just wanted to throw that up because it's good information and I know it's useful. So 3 specific benefits for traders. I want to touch on these. Cost. So speaking generally, cloud solutions, not cloud trading solutions, I'm talking cloud solutions generally, provide a savings because costs are distributed and the service is scalable. So this all runs up in cloud, these servers, and more of these servers can be lit up as needed for bandwidth or for CPU cycles or whatever, and it can be contracted when it's quiet. So right now, when things are quieter, there's not much trading going on, it can think of it like a big exhale. It can just kind of not go dormant, but it doesn't need to be at the high level of scalability that it does on the market open or the market close. So how does this relate to trading, especially from a cost perspective? Well, there's no subscription or one-time software cost. That's a big deal. So there's no, to use the platform, there's no cost. The cost is only the data or the order routing system, which is going to be ubiquitous across whatever platform you'd use anyway. Opportunity cost. Now that's one that's hard to quantify. But with a cloud-based solution, there's typically no downtime or desktop software issues. Where with the desktop solution, there's always the risk that some sort of database issues or you just got computer problems, your hard drive's going bad, whatever. Nice thing with the cloud, nothing's ever lost, but 2, you just can move to another machine, log in, and off you go. That's that. And then here I just have data feeds. Data fees are set by the exchange. I don't know. That's just one of those that it is what it is. I mean, none of us are going to get around the exchange wanting their money for shareholders, and that's the way it is. So, point number 1 was cost. Another one is access. So again, speaking generally, cloud solutions are always available no matter the computer or the device. That's one of the big selling points of cloud-based solutions. How does that relate to trading? Well, again, just log in. That's it. You just simply go to the login page and you log in. Settings are always synced and backed up. So again, you don't things are always in sync across device or computer to computer. You're not wishing, oh man, I wish I would have saved those chart settings and emailed them to myself or shared them out somehow. No, it just happens. It's just the cloud is easy and enjoyable to use. Trade or just monitor positions or market price anytime, anywhere. So that gets back to that access idea. You can really just follow things along if you want. You may find that you're not trading a lot away from the desk or away from your main workstation, but you sure as heck like to check in on stuff. And so that's one of those where maybe you like to roll out of bed first thing in the morning and see where the market's at. Well, that's the idea. That's some of the benefit there. And then you can just ultimately trade from home, work on the train, golf course, whatever. So there's a lot of nice things that come along with how the cloud works. And then that third piece is quality, as I refer to it. Cloud solutions minimize end user headaches because it's delivered as a service. So it's the cloud provider, in this case MarketDelta, we have to keep the solution working and running all the time. It's not like I'll put it out and it is what it is. No, this thing has to always be working, always be just right because everybody's using it, logging it in. We need it to work. And the cloud solutions are good because it provides an easy-to-use, headache-free solution for end users, but it keeps the people that are providing it accountable and providing a good quality product. So again, how does this relate to trading? Easy to use and get running. It's about as easy as it gets because you can sign up. We like to say you can be up and running in 60 seconds. You fill out the form and you're in the app and data's flowing typically in under 60 seconds. That's hard to make any easier. Updates are delivered automatically and you never have to install or configure software or data services. It is such a headache, and I can't tell you how many calls. I mean, I'm on the phone a lot with customers of our desktop product, which it's great, but it's hard to set up and help people along. And it'll take 10 minutes just on a discussion like that to help them understand all the moving pieces. Where there's just not as many moving pieces, and it's simple and easy to use. So, so here's a little just interesting graphic. This is cloud-based trend analysis, and this is more for our industry. So I'm assuming most of you guys are futures traders or trade futures or Forex. And our findings, we talk to people across the industry, really at the the B2B level, a lot of the business owners or firms, trading firms, clearing firms. I mean, the cloud, it's still in its, I don't want to say infancy, but it's just getting out of that in our industry. There's just not a lot of solutions. And part of that's because of an entrenched infrastructure and really the big gatekeeper firms. I mean, a lot of them, I don't know if you've ever been to the Board of Trade, but it's a pretty stodgy building. If you've been up in any of the old clearing firms, I mean, it's just, you get the sense that people aren't too quick to adopt new technology. Head out to Silicon Valley or some of the other places, and they're just pushing the edge of technology. And so our industry's just been slow, and I'm critical of that, of the industry, because it's really made it hard for those who are pushing the edge and see what's happening across the world in terms of technology and what could be possible. But you got to work within the infrastructure and the industry you have, and it is what it is. But some of the reasons I feel traders are going to implement cloud-based solutions, especially over the next 3 years, are going to be lower cost, it's easier to use, increased access, and then it's just more modern trading solutions. Most of the trading solutions, the desktop trading solutions that are available in the industry are 15, 20 years old. They're that old, and they might run well, but they're old. They're just bloated. And that at some point just is a real hassle, and it's just they're not easy to use. So this graphic just shows what a steep curve over the next 3 years these cloud solutions will begin to experience. That's where the future is. There's just no question. So this is a question, again, don't answer, but are there any brokers in here listening? And if so, this is for brokers, and it applies to you guys end users, but I want you for brokers. You can onboard with a cloud-based solution, and obviously I'd like to say MarketDelta, but a cloud-based solution, you onboard customers much faster. There's no data feed to configure, no software to install, support. Modern technology and refreshing users' interfaces. It's interfaces that people like to use and enjoy. Runs exclusively on CQG, which is a known risk system, which is good for brokers. That's what they like, and no surprises. So that's really there for the brokers. But before I move on to the demo, to help understand how this works, because how all this goes together, the MarketDelta is not the data feed, CQG is. So when you log into the application, when you log into the app, it connects directly to CQG. So many times, one of the big misconceptions has been people think cloud means slower. Cloud means it's just a web-based solution. No. It is directly connected as any desktop solution. And so you're not sacrificing speed. And in fact, I've seen it. I've talked to many clients who are running this alongside some other desktop solution. They're trying it out, and they're finding that it's faster, especially in all this volatility. It's not getting bogged down. And again, that's because of these modern technologies that are being used. So I just want to mention that, because that's an important point, because web doesn't mean worse. I don't know how else to say that. So anyway, I'm going to jump over to the platform, and I'm going to walk through the major pieces of functionality. I'm not walking through every option. I'm not going to do that. I just want to touch on the main pieces of functionality and give you a sense of how that is, how it works, and then also show where, if you want to get a demo, how you can do that, because there's bound to be some interest into that. All right, so I'm logged in. I'm logged into the app, and the website is I'll bring that up. It's cloud.marketdelta.com, and this is where you would log in. Now, I'm logged in, and it remembers my last configuration or layout. It doesn't ask to save it. It just brings me right in. And so the main pieces of functionality, obviously you don't have to write this stuff down, but the main pieces are static price ladders or static domes, charts, and watch lists. Those are the three main components right now. And one thing I want to mention, a lot of times I think people judge a product based on features. And it's very common in our industry that the more features, the better. But I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I think convenience and access trumps functionality, because most people, and I know this from the desktop side, most people do not use probably 75% of the functionality that's available in any software. They operate in a very small area of the software, whether it be desktop or whether it be cloud-based. So whether you're a broker, whether you're an end user trader, it's important to get a solution. The first thing you want to focus on is a solution that is easy to use, one that you can get in and actually start to see some early success on, one that you're able to access and practice and just kind of get comfortable with the platform. And then you can start to worry about the features. But a lot of times features cloud a person's judgment of what is really important. And I want to mention that. All right, so across the top, we have your settings screens, your account selector, and your notifications. And right here is what we call the trade ticket. And if I click this basically brings up a window where you just type in a symbol. I'm going to type in it's EP, that's the E-mini, that's the CQG symbol. But this is your manual order entry. So this is where you can construct any sort of manual order. It's always available, even if you only have charts on the screen. This is a way you can quickly get in and just build an order. If you want to create a sell order, you can do that. Market limit. So I can build a limit order. Why don't I do that? I'm going to go ahead and work an offer here at 48. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. And there it is. All right, so we're just going to let that work, but I want you to see how this looks, how it works, and then we can maybe play around and put some trades in if the market allows. Up here, this is just the icon, nothing here. But then this next bar is what we call the trade space, or think of your layouts or workspaces. So I've got one here. This is the one we're working on. Watch list. That's another one I named. But you can add one. So let's go ahead and add one. And I'm just going to call it sample. And you choose the layout. Okay. So you just choose the layout. And what it does, it gives you that layout with just empty widgets. That's what we call these things, just empty widgets. You just simply click Setup and specify what type of widget. Remember what I said, there's watch lists, there's domes, and there's charts. So maybe I want to put a chart up top. And you can either create a new chart or choose one that's already available. So I'm just going to choose one that's available. And I'm going to click then this space, and we'll put a watch list in it. I'll select sample. And then over here, these tall vertical ones are typically domes. That's what I would recommend putting in there. And let's just type in CLE. That's for crude oil. Notice it dynamically searches and returns symbols based on what you type. And then I'm just going to close that. That's how easy it was to create a layout. Notice I didn't hit save or anything anywhere. It automatically saved so that if I were to go log in on another machine, it would be right there. All right, so let's just take a look at these with some of the functionality. On the watch list, notice any of these widgets have a little dot, dot, dot. That's how you can open it up. And you can just choose Edit or choose from whatever menu is available. I'm going to just turn on more columns here. I'm going to turn them all on, actually. Okay, so that's how that works. I've just added all those columns. If we wanted to add a symbol, you would just begin typing the symbol. Let's see. The Swiss franc. And it immediately adds it and subscribes to the data. So this all runs on top of CQG. So those of you who may or may not be aware, that's the data that it's using. All the historical data as well. For the charting, it's all CQG. So the real-time historical and order routing, it's all CQG. As far as these watch lists goes, if I want to place a trade, so let's say I want to buy the E-mini, I can click, if there's a background color, you can just click on that. That means there's trading capability if it has a background color. So I'm going to, here's the E-mini. If I click the Ask column, it launches a buy one market. And I simply click buy, I simply take the position. You can see I'm long one. If I want to sell gold, I'm going to click in the bid column, sell one market, sell, and I'm short. If I want to flatten my position, I can just click on my position. It brings up a flatten order. Notice it says close open position and cancel prior orders. And it would just takes me out, and that's it. I mean, that's how that works. So now, granted, the market's you can see the crude oil now is closed. So I'm not sure how much trading we're going to be doing, but I'll walk you through the app. And if Futures.io wants me to do a live trading sometime during the day, during the session, I'd be open to a webinar like that. That's always those are a lot of fun. But so that's the functionality within the watch list. It's real straightforward and simple. Click to trade, and also then just monitor prices and positions. The charting, let's go ahead and create another. I'm going to create a full screen chart. Let's call it chart. I think it'll be easier for everybody to see this way. And let's just go with, I'm just going to go with the crude oil one that I had up. Okay, so here's my crude oil chart. I have just a volume indicator, a volume profile. That's all I got on here. And it's easy enough to edit or delete. You just click the gear, and you can change, change your colors or change any preferences you want, or delete it. I can simply just close, and it's gone. Now, to add indicators or drawing tools, you can just click the title bar or click that ellipsis. And this is where you change your chart type. There's all sorts. I'm not going to get into these details, but there's different chart styles as well as chart types, as you can see in here. Limited functionality in all these. They're not extensive functionality, but it does give you some of the stuff that you may use as a trader. Here's a mountain chart. I'm just going to leave it on candle though. Studies. There's a whole bunch of studies. I think there's about 80 or so. Simply just click the drop down and Bollinger Bands, and there's your Bollingers. So you get an idea of how that works. Drawing tools. I'm not going to get into that, but there are the drawing tools in here as well. And let's go ahead and just add the volume one back on. My main thing here is not to cover each and every little feature, but I want you to see how easy it is to do this stuff, because that's the main thing. And again, it's just this stuff translates from whatever computer you may access it on. So there would be our crude oil chart. And it works like you'd think, like you could pan around. You can see I just left click and hold and pan around. Everything's dynamic. HTML5 charts. The charting is real nice. Zoom in, zoom out. Everything you kind of expect. Use a scroll wheel to zoom that way as well. And if I wanted just to reset this chart, basically start from scratch, just click reset, and it takes you back. Now that chart is still there, it's still saved, and I can always pull it back up. But if I wanted to put something else on here, just go back in now, maybe bring up the EP, and there's my S&P chart. So it works in a lot of ways like you'd probably expect. I'll go back to this, our main screen that we were on earlier. And let's take a look. That was the charts. The domes, now the markets, there's not much to do here, but what I want to show in the dome is there's bracket orders. Many people use bracket orders or OCOs, so I want to take a look at that interface. This is one of those newer ones. I know a lot of people wanted it, and they seem to really be enjoying it. So I just want to touch on that, how that works. So on the dome, if I were to be submitting, we're not going to do any trading right now. Markets, we're not going to do that, but I want to show you if Atom's on, if bracket order is on. So meaning I got a bracket selected. When I place an order, it's going to essentially submit the bracket order and work on your behalf. Now the bracket orders are server-side OCOs, so that means if I lose connection or if I log out, those are all still working on your behalf so that you're not essentially left hanging. That's a big point. Again, that's all included free of charge. You're not having to pay extra or anything for that. But if I click it off, now I'm just trading straight from the dome, and there's no, it's not submitting a bracket. Here, let's go ahead and edit these. Click Edit. This takes me over to Settings, by the way. So essentially I'm looking at Settings, and I'm on the Atom tab. So I only have one atom. So let's just talk through this, because it'll just take a few minutes. This is really neat to see how this works. You give it a name. tells you when it was created, how many legs are in the atom, and then what it looks like. So there's one leg in the quantity of 1. If I click at it, you can see there's just this one leg. You can do up to 3 legs. You just simply turn them on or off. This leg's on. It's a quantity of 1. It submits a profit target of 6 ticks. And then the stop order, it puts a stop order in 6 ticks away. So that's what makes it a bracket. When I have my profit order turned on and stop order turned on, it essentially submits an OCO that if one gets hit, for those of you who don't know what a bracket order is, essentially it submits a profit order and a stop loss at the same time that are tied together. They're tied together so that when one of them gets hit or filled, the other gets canceled. So it's a very nice way to be able to submit a trade and establish a position, but then have your profit target in the market and your stop loss, and when one of them gets hit, it cancels the other, and that's it. So you're protected, and you're not going to be left hanging with an order sitting in the market. So let's take a look here. Under the stop order, there's different types of stop orders, and again, I'm not going to get into every detail here. We have videos on this stuff. But there's stop orders, there's trailing stops, there's DOM-triggered stops, and then DOM-triggered trailing stops. So real quick, I think most of you probably know what a trailing stop is. A DOM stop, or DOM-triggered stop, if I click this, it gives me a little pop-up, and it allows me to set what the inside market DOM threshold would be. So if I set it to 200, and said done, essentially when the market would trade at my stop price, my stop trigger won't get triggered, the stop order won't get triggered until the inside market gets below 200. So it's a really nice way to kind of help from getting stopped out on just a few contracts, and well, it's really nice. It's fun to play with and neat to see it work. So these are synthetic. So it's being monitored at a server level. So it's very nice and it's very fast. So it's a way to kind of use technology to your advantage when you're placing stop orders. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that one. Again, notice I don't have to hit save. It just saves this stuff. And let's add a new one. So I'm going to create a new one. We'll call this, we'll just go with Atom 2. I'm going to turn on 2 legs. And this leg, my first leg will be for 1. My second leg I'll maybe do a quantity of 2. And we'll do 10 ticks here. I'll leave it as a stop order. And I'm going to do a, 12 tick stop loss. And then just hide. So notice the name is Atom 2. When I say hide, it is, you can see here, this is the name. It created it today. It has 2 legs, total quantity of 3. First leg is a quantity of 1. The second leg is a quantity of 2. So if I go back here to my account, and you'll see it's now available in here. It's called Atom 2. So if I were to place an order and get filled, it would put in those brackets, the first bracket and the second bracket, and then that's it. So I don't know if there's any markets that are available to do this in right now, but it's much more fun to do these things when the market's real active and I can actually showcase some of this functionality in a real active market. So it'd be great if I could come back and show you that sometime. But the main thing is how easy this is. You can build these things. You just go in here, you can build them or edit them, and then you can go back and simply deploy them. And so if I had, this is the E-mini, I got Atom 2 on this one. Let's go back to this one. On crude oil, I might have a special bracket for crude oil. In fact, let's go ahead and create one. Call it crude 1. and just a single leg, maybe a 10-tick profit and a 15-tick stop. Again, I don't. These are all personal preferences. I'm using this as an example, and maybe I'd want this to be a trailing stop, and that's it. So now, go back, and on my crude, I may want to set this up to do crude 1, and now when these orders go in, it would use my OCOs. The last thing I want to show on here, you haven't seen, is down here along the bottom. You may have wondered, where do I see my positions, my canceled orders, my filled orders, all that stuff. Hopefully you can see on your screen at the very bottom there's a positions tab, orders filled, working, canceled, and rejected. So I can click this. If I click positions, it shows what I've had positions in. This is just these orders we've done right now, your P&L, and then your kind of your total account information is over here. So it basically summarizes anything you might see in here. Orders tab would show me my filled orders and canceled. You can just scroll through it. Filled is just filled orders. Obviously working is anything you're working, canceled, and rejected. So you can see what this all looks like. But you can either leave this open, but it's nice because it's tucked at the bottom of the screen. You can leave it open and watch your orders work and go in, or you can just click compress over here and tuck it away. There's notifications, so at all times in view, you can see if you're working orders. Like it says 0 right now, so I know I'm not working anything. But it's nice to be able to be doing my stuff and be able to look down here, know if I'm working any orders in any market across the board. And then I can always click to see my positions, if I have anything on this. So that said, that's the demo I wanted to do. I wanted to just kind of give you a quick overview of the platform. I really strongly encourage everyone, you can sign up for a demo. I'll show you where that is, and then we'll take some questions. If you just go to cloud.marketdelta.com, I can paste this in here. That's the site. And just click free demo and go through the forms. So if I click that, you can either sign in using a social sign-on, or you can go ahead and use any email address and create a password. It's going to send you an email to confirm so you got to make sure you use a valid email. And then it's going to automatically send you right into the platform. It's going to get a demo, set it all up, and you'll be up and running real soon. So anyway, that's where you need to go, and that's how that works. With that said, let me log back in. This is how easy it is to log in, by the way. And I'm in. Notice all my settings. I kicked myself out there when I went to the sign-up page, right? You guys all saw that? And notice all my settings are here. These brackets we just created, the crude 1 and atom 2, they're in here. So nothing was disturbed or lost as a result of me kicking myself out. And that's nice. So with that said, I'm not sure how these questions are going to work. I'm going to try and look at them, and it looks like there's already been some, and I'm sure they're going to all scroll by so fast it's going to be hard for me to keep up. So Terry, if there's been a few that you've flagged, if you want to just read them off to me. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and look through here, and I'll pick some up that I can.
Okay, yeah, I flagged a few, so let's start with those. First, how secure is the platform?
Okay, so that's a great question. So it's as secure as your password and what do you put in it. So it's just like I would say, how secure is your email or any cloud-based solution you use. So make the password secure. And in fact, the most secure way is going to be to use, this is my opinion, but this is what I use personally, is use the the social sign-on, the Google, Yahoo, or you can use Twitter, because you can establish two-factor authentication with that, which is more secure. That's extremely secure. So that's what I would do. And I'd say anybody, when you walk away from your computer, you should be locking it or you shut it down. I mean, that's just good practice. But think of your desktop software that's on there now. Right now, most people, if their computer is left unlocked, which at home you don't think too much about it, but I mean, people just launch the software and it logs in, and you're up and going. So in a lot of ways, the web is the cloud-based for most people is actually more secure because they actually you have to log in versus just double-clicking an icon on a desktop, like for a desktop software. So, but if you have, like you saw how I just logged in, I recommend when you leave your computer, when you like on a Mac or PC, whatever, you should lock it. Windows, you just hit the Window L to lock the screen, and that's a good way to. It just locks down your computer. That's good.
Okay,
that's
what
I would recommend.
How secure is the login?
Hopefully that suffices as an answer. But that's a great question when we do get often.
Okay. How secure is the system against, say, like a brute force attack or a hacker just trying to get into the system?
Well, that's one of those questions. You obviously see stuff all the time online, and I guess you're really talking like on at the server side level. And we use all the best tools that are available. We're not hosting our own servers. It's not like they're sitting in our closet. They're sitting in a very, very secure, like a Salesforce or Amazon type. It runs on Amazon's cloud. So those data centers are all highly secure, and that's what more can you do?
That actually gets into two more questions. One was where are these servers located in the continental U.S. or distributed globally? And then also, who runs the cloud for MarketDelta?
Okay, so I think I answered it. It all runs on Amazon Web Services, so that's the cloud infrastructure. And so those are obviously I think it's running out of the cloud. Here's the thing. It's important. Let me talk about this a minute because a lot of people are concerned that, well, if it's in Virginia, if the data center is in Virginia, and my order's got to go to Chicago, that's more hops. But here's the thing: the cloud is served up when you log in. That's when you're utilizing our cloud infrastructure. Okay? Yeah. When you log in, we authenticate you and serve up the app. And at that point, our cloud infrastructure is simply used when you make changes to the app. You change charts, change your layout. We are not routing any of we're not having to route your orders through our servers at all. The data isn't coming from us, it comes directly from CQG. So your browser is connected directly to the CQG global trade network so that really wherever you're at, it's all load balanced, wherever you're at in the world, they're going to connect you most appropriately with CQG's data centers. So all the real-time and historical and order routing, that's all managed by CQG, and you can't question necessarily the way they do it. They're like the industry standard when it comes to that stuff, and that's why we chose them. That they're the best at it and do an excellent job. So all I can say is you can run it side by side against some of your other stuff, and I think you'd find that out. But it's important. The most important part of what I'm saying here is none of this stuff, all of the trading and order information, that is not sent through our servers. So we just serve up the app. It doesn't introduce any latency when it comes to utilizing the platform.
Okay.
What was the other question? I think maybe I got it.
Yeah, I think you got both of them. Is there an iPhone app, or how does this perform on mobile devices?
All right, so that's coming soon. That's the easiest answer for that. I know I mentioned, access and this and that. That's something we're working on as we speak, and that'll be available. I don't want to promise when that's going to be available because you never know with this stuff, but that is being developed right now, and both for iPhones and iPads.
Okay. Is the software leveraging the local computer for processing other than just the browser interface? I noticed a lot of people are really surprised at how quick the platform was running.
Yeah, it runs in the browser, so it's running in the browser. So it's not like you're installing software and running it. So I mean, these technologies, this really pushes the edge of technology. I can tell you that right now. And I know we're at the cutting edge because it's not easy to do and not easy to handle just what goes on within a single browser the way it is. But I'd say give it a try. I mean, somebody who's using a really advanced desktop solution, I don't want to say that this is going to cover all the features and functionality of that, but for somebody who's looking for a nice, easy-to-use solution with probably just as fast or faster point-and-click trading, then I'd say, yeah, you should give it a go. I do see one question here from Barney with respect to trading. He's asking about trading off the charts. No, that is not available right now, but that will be. That's another thing we're working on right now. So that should be available, hopefully, who knows? I'm going to say a month or two, but I can't. I'm not going to, that's speculation. But it is being worked on literally as we speak.
Okay. Can you add custom studies or indicators, or are you just locked into what's available through the platform?
Yep, another great question. At this time, you're locked into what's available on the platform. So when it comes to custom studies and all that kind of stuff, not currently available.
Okay. Is there a PDF or a video instruction on how to use this software available already?
Yeah, we have, well actually, I think you guys can all still see my screen. If you go under the little mail or notifications, I'm going to click view all because I cleared mine out. But if you go under here, there's been some posts. Let's see, does this one, maybe I cleared all mine out. Yeah, it looks like it did. Basically, go to support.marketdelta.com or just go to our site, and there's a full, actually YouTube, that's the best spot probably. Just go to YouTube and search MarketDelta, and you'll find, or MarketDelta Cloud probably more specific, and you'll find all kinds of great tutorials, especially when it comes to those atoms that I was showing you, how to do that. And there's some other stuff. But one of the nice things about this is it's one of those types of things you'll probably figure out just on your own. There's a lot of, it's nice to be able to say that and be able to get into something and figure out how to use it. It's like when you started using, like Facebook is essentially a cloud app, right? Not that everybody uses it, but when's the last time you had to read the manual on that or figure out, go to their support site? Probably never. So you're able to figure stuff out, and that's the way we've tried to design this. That does mean that some of the advanced and complex features and functionality, at least at this point, have been left out, but it also means that you're not going to struggle to figure out how to use something and feel the market can beat you up. We don't want the software to beat you up, and that's our thought on that.
Okay. Is there a browser that you
You dropped. I don't know. I didn't hear the question. Terry, I can't hear you. But anyway, I'm looking at some of these questions. Okay, so it runs in Google Chrome, so you need to run it in Chrome. That's the browser that it runs on. At this time, Barney, great question. He trades 30 futures markets on 4 monitors. Will it work? It runs in a single monitor right now. That's one of those big areas.
You are now muted. You are now
Testing one.
unmuted. You are now muted. You are now unmuted.
Can you hear me, guys? Testing. This is Trevor.
You are now muted. This conference is locked. You are now unmuted.
Testing, guys. I think I'm back, but I'm not sure. Chances are it might. Hopefully it stays up. Okay, good, good. All right. Well, hopefully it stays up. I'm just trying to hit these questions here. I think I've gotten a lot of them. You know what? Maybe easier. If I haven't answered a question, go ahead and okay, just retype it. If your question hasn't been answered, to kind of freshen up this chat window. But what I was saying is it does require Google Chrome. That's the browser you have to use. It's not a big deal. It's the most popular browser out there, and it's really what a lot of the cloud-based apps are standardizing on now. iPhone and Android apps are coming. Those are not available yet, but we are working on those. So those are coming, Daniel. I think I was asking or answering somebody's question on multiple browsers or multiple windows. It runs in a single browser window, but you can follow 30 markets. That shouldn't be a problem at all. But as far as a multi-windowed solution or multi-monitor solution, something we're working on as well, but that is not currently part of what's offered. Any other questions? I apologize for those technical issues, guys. All right, I'm not sure. Maybe I lost sound again. I see someone saying no sound. So maybe we should wind this up. Okay, Daniel Wall, what's your question? All right. No, it does not have a footprint chart. Does not have a footprint chart. So, yeah, that's something. If you wanted that, you'd want to use our MarketDelta charts. That's the desktop package. All right. Well, I am. Yeah, Ronald, I did cover that. I touched on that. Let's wind it down. I know we're an hour in. This was recorded, so I believe it'll be posted into Futures.io, one of their boards, so you guys can check it out there. Okay, I'm not sure if Terry I'm not sure if Terry's able to hear me, guys, the host. I think some of you can hear me though. So I'm going to wind it down here. There's obvious technical difficulties, and but I do thank you for joining us today. And hopefully I did share some information you found to be helpful and useful. Feel free to reach out to us though if you have any questions. I encourage you to take that demo. I posted the link earlier. Here it is again. And I wish you all my best. So take care, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Be careful in these crazy markets.